Hari Om, everybody. Welcome back. It's 10 o'clock. We will get started. Om. 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 Ganana Ganapati Hawamahe Kavin Kavinamupamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspatan Shunvannuti Dasadanam प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती धीनामवित्यवत् ॐ गणेशाय नमः ॐ सरस्वत्यै नमः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये वागीशाद्याः सुमनसः सर्वार्थानामुपक्रमे यं नत्वा कृतकृत्याः स्युः तं नमामि गजाननम् वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय कोटिसूर्यसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिम् द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि सद्गुरुं तं नमामि श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्य केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं यस्य सन्निधिमात्रेण सर्वे शिष्याश्च सेवकाः कर्मक्षेत्रे प्रवर्तन्ते चिन्मयं तं नमाम्यहम् चिन्मयं तं नमाम्यहम् Hari Om, everybody. Welcome back. Let's get started with our Mangala Charana Shloka of Viveka Choodamani. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. So far, we have covered quite a few topics. After our initial topics of how rare the human birth is, along with our 9 rare blessings, the qualifications of the Guru, qualifications of a fit student, a qualified student, Guru Upasatti or Guru Upasadana, we understood that moksha is possible only through jnanam, and only in human birth. Such a sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikari, this fit student, has approached this Shrotriya Brahmanishta Guru and asking this question. Ko nama bandha कतमेष आगतः कथं प्रतिष्ठास्य कथं विमोक्ष्यः कोऽसावनात्मा परमः क आत्मा तयोर्विवेकः कथमेतदुच्यताम्. Out of these 7 important questions that the student has asked, we have covered all aspects of anatma so far. We started with avastatraya viveka, that there are 3 states of my existence that I experience: jagrad avastha or waking state, swapna avastha or dream state, sushupti avastha or deep sleep state. Again, why did we get introduced to the anatma first? Because of my Sat Swarupa Agnanam. I do not know my true nature. Advitiya Atma Agnanam. That I am ignorant of my true nature. And this ignorance, this Mula Avidya, can only be destroyed by self-knowledge, that Atma Gnana. I experience the 3 states of my existence through the 3 bodies or equipment. On further deeper inquiry, I use Druk Drushya Viveka. I realize the 3 states of our existence, they come, they go. They come, they go. They are not permanent. They are anitya. So I apply nitya, anitya viveka and realize that I am avastatraya sakshi. I exist as that pure awareness. I exist as that witness principle, that sakshi swarupa, that I am in there, in and through all these 3 states. I stand unnegated by them. Then we explored the concept of the universe and Maya. I understood that Maya as the unmanifest power of the Lord. She is Trigunatvika. She has this agatita ghatana samarthyam. She is this maha adbhuta anirvachaniya rupa. She is this mysterious wonder. She is an inexplicable phenomena. He has these two powers, Avarana Shakti, which hides the truth, Vikshepa Shakti, which projects the unreal, makes the unreal seemingly real. Then we went on to study Gunatraya Viveka, understood how my thought textures are driven by the gunas, the tamasic, rajasic, and sattvic tendencies. We went through the details of the effects of the tamasic tendencies, the rajasic tendencies. What happens when we replace both with sattva and then elevate this slowly to Vishuddha sattva? We went through a detailed explanation of all of the relevant verses in Viveka Choodamani last week and before the break. If you missed any of it, you can catch up on this very important topic on our Chinmaya Ramanam YouTube channel. So all of this anatma, Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji summarized this in verse number 122 and 123, which we saw last week. Let me pull that up. देहेन्द्रिय प्राणमनोहमादयः सर्वे विकारा विषयाः सुखादयः व्योमादिभूतान्यखिलं च विश्वम् व्योमादिभूतान्यखिलं च विश्वम् अव्यक्तपर्यन्तमिदं ह्यनात्मा. In 123, Maya karyam sarvam mahadadeha paryantam asadidam vidditvam marumarichika kalpam. In this summary, Lokas, he says this body, these organs of actions, these organs of perceptions, prana, mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara, they are all modifications, sense objects, their pleasures, their gross elements, the whole universe, up to the unmanifest, avyakta, avyakta paryantamidam hyanatma. They are all effects of Maya, all are anatma, they all belong to the category of asat, unreal. How? Like the maru marichika kalpam, like that mirage water in the desert sand that appears in the desert sand. Then we saw in verse number 124 last week, he introduced us to this Atma Nirupanam. Athate sampravakshyami Swarupam Paramatmanah. Athate sampravakshyami स्वरूपं परमात्मनः यद्विज्ञाय नरो बन्धान् मुक्तः कैवल्यमश्नुते. Together. अथ ते सम्प्रवक्ष्यामि स्वरूपं परमात्मनः यद्विज्ञाय नरो बन्धान् मुक्तः कैवल्यमश्नुते. As I mentioned last week, Atha signified a new topic. Now he began to answer the sixth question of the student had asked. Paramaha ka Atma. What is this Atma? What is this Paramatma? What is this self? We started this topic last week. He said, O Shishya, Atate sampravakshyami swarupam paramatmanah. Now I am going to tell you what is the real nature of this Supreme Self, realizing which yadvignaya bandhan mukta kaivalyamashnute. He becomes free from bondage and attains liberation. So in the last week's session, we had discussed that AAA is our problem. I use these acronyms so that it registers in our mind, which is Advitiya Atma Agnanam. I am ignorant of my true nature. It is due to Adhyasa, superimposition, coupled with avidya or agnana, that leads to a false identity, a notional identity with our ahankara that has ingrained in us for many cycles of birth and death called samsara. So if we were to quickly recap, so far we have come a good way in our journey in that series. So in the last few weeks, we have been discussing how our divinity is veiled by our thoughts, driven by the gunas, the tamo guna, rajo guna, and sattva guna, so that I can apply this guna traya viveka to overcome my tamasic and rajasic tendencies and to develop more and more of the sattvic qualities, slowly leading me to Vishuddha Sattva. Then we learned how to separate the self from transcending the three bodies. Separation here is not physical separation, it is an intellectual negation. So, transcending the three bodies of the gross, subtle, and causal bodies by applying Sharira Traya Viveka. Then we explore at the microcosm level, at the Jiva level, how the same self has become the waker, has become the dreamer, the deep sleeper. We covered this topic of the self as the life principle, the Chaitanya that works in and through the three bodies to become the waker, to become the dreamer, and the deep sleeper. This is Avastatraya Viveka. So, in order for me to do this Atma Anatma Viveka, I need to know the nature of Atma. How do I recognize that? Until now, I have studied many layers and aspects of anatma. And now, with the help of Shastra and the Guru, I understand the nature of Paramatma. In Vedanta or the Upanishads, there are several pointers given to indicate this Atma. The nature of the self is indicated as Sat Chit Ananda Swarupa, which stands for existence, consciousness, bliss. So, just to recap, Sat means what? Sat simply means existence, that isness. According to Vedanta, that Sattvastu is the one that exists in all three periods of time, the past, the present, and the future. That means I, as my true nature, I am Atma. I was there before and I will always remain. But out of my ignorance, I am identified with my gross body, subtle body, etc. But I know it cannot be Sat because it goes through Shadvikara, six modifications. It is born one day, it dies another day. It has an Adi and an Anta. It has a beginning, it has a birthday, and it has a day of death. Our Puja Gurudev used to jokingly say, everybody dies, everybody dies, but nobody dies. Since I always exist, I am Amara, deathless. I am Anadi, beginningless. I am Ananta, endless. I am Nitya, I am timeless. No modifications. I am Avikari. Then we saw Atma as Chit Swarupa, translated as consciousness, that nature of absolute knowledge, Jnana Swarupa. Chit gives the ability of all knowledge, not only in the realm of the known, also in the realm of unknown. Meaning, I am not only aware of the presence of my thought, but I am also aware of the absence of my thoughts in deep sleep. Which means, as awareness, I illumine everything in my presence. I am of the nature of Nitya Jyoti, Swayam Prakasha, self illumining nature, self shining principle, or ever shining knowledge principle. That is called Chit or consciousness. That is my true nature. Then we saw Atma as Ananda Swarupa. Self is of the nature of absolute happiness. Because I know there is sorrow in finitude, there is sorrow in limitedness. That's why Bhagavan Krishna called it in Bhagavad Gita as Dukkhalayam, Ashashvatam. Each thing in creation, if we observe, is in a state of agitation until it moves to its natural state. So, our natural state is that of happiness, absolute happiness, infinite happiness, ananta. So last week we also saw that in Vedanta, the nature of that Atma, the nature of that self, is indicated or pointed in three ways. Swarupa Lakshana, indicated directly. Just like how we describe the nature of sugar as sweet, or the intrinsic property of sugar is sweet. We don't ask why sugar is sweet, because that's its nature, that's Swabhava. The nature of fire is heat. Same way, these type of pointers, when I say Atma is Sat Chit Ananda Swarupa, I am talking about the Swarupa Lakshana of Atma. Then we saw last week, Atman pointed out as Tatastha Lakshana, meaning a temporary external indicator. Just like I point to a person's house with a bird sitting on their roof, or a Mustang or another convertible sitting in their driveway, I point out to Atman in Vedanta as the Chaitanya Swarupa, that which provides sentiency and enlivens the inert matter, that which is Sakshi Swarupa, the witness principle of all the three states of my existence in waking, dream, and deep sleep. That is Tatastha Lakshana. Next, in our journey, we saw Atad Vyavrutti Lakshana. Since as a group we have studied Atma Bodha, as a group we can look at verse number 34. Nirguno Nishkriyo Nityah Nirvikalpo Niranjanah Nirvikaro Nirakarah Nityamuktoऽsmi Nirmalah. So in this Nididhyasana shloka, we have studied these direct pointers to Atma that are originally from the Upanishads. Nirvikara, Nirakara, I am formless. What does this do? It negates the gross body, Stula Sharira, because it has a form, goes through modification. Nishkriya, actionless, because actions are done by karmendriyas, organs of action or prana. They belong to the Sukshma Sharira or the subtle body. So I am different from that. Nirvikalpa, without any thought modification. Vikalpa means modification. Nirvikalpa, without modification. They belong to the Antakarana, my mind and intellect and memory and ego, mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara. So the term Nishkriya, Nirvikalpa, they indicate Atma is different from the subtle body. When I say I am Nirguna, with gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamo Guna, the gunas are in the Karana Sharira. So I am not the causal body. Niranjana, when I say untainted, or Nirmala, without any vasanas or impurities. Mala means impurities. They are all attributes of the Karana Sharira, causal body. So I say, I am not that. You get the idea. This is how we negate. But remember our Puja Gurudev's words. These are indicators or pointers that turn our attention to the self, to show us that direction. Once we have done that, their purpose is fulfilled, right? Let me see if I have that graphic that I can share with you. So in this picture, as I showed last week, if I am pointing to the moon, this is how our Gurudev, Puja Gurudev used to explain. If I am pointing to the moon, I hope you all saw that wonderful celestial event this week of this lunar eclipse and that spectacular blood moon, they called it. So if you keep looking at my finger or the tip of the finger, you will never see the moon, he would say. So your eyes should leave the tip of the finger and travel in the direction in which it is pointing, and then alone you will see the moon. But our master here, Shankaracharya ji, our Acharya, gave us three in one, a master stroke definition for Atma to indicate the self in Tattva Bodha. He said he is Atma, that which is beyond gross, subtle, and causal body. Tula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharirad, Vyatirikta. He is Pancha Kosha Atita. We have not covered this topic in this text, but you know, he is beyond the five sheets. That he is Avastatraya Sakshi, the witness to all these three states of existence, the waking, the dream, and the deep sleep state. That who is Satchidananda Swarupa. With that much recap and introduction, we will cover verse number 125 in Viveka Choodamani, because verses 124 through 135 is Atma Nirupanam, the nature of the self. Let's start. Astikachit swayam nityamaham pratyayalambanaha. Astikachit swayam nityamaham pratyayalambanaha. Avastatraya sakshi san panchakosha vilakshanaha. So the nature of the self, he starts this in this verse, the self as avastatraya sakshi, witness. He is saying asti kaschit swayam nityam. There is a certain reality that is eternal, that is nitya, which does not undergo any modifications, which is the basis or which is the substratum for this I thought, that aham pratyaya. What is its nature? Avastatraya sakshi san. I am in that waking state. I become the dreamer. I become the deep sleeper, but that witness principle, that as awareness, I am there. I am there in and through waking, in and through my dreams, in and through my deep sleep. That which is unchanging, nitya, that witness principle, that sakshi swarupa, that is panchakosha vilakshana, that is distinct from the five sheets. We will go through that later in the text. That which is beyond five sheets. And those who were with me in Tattva Bodha, they are Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya Kosha. See how with this introduction, it becomes easier to understand these verses. When we hear that Aham Pratyaya, our Upadesha Sara from Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi should come to our mind. How did we do that inquiry? Manasam tu kim margane krute naiva manasam marga arjavat vrittayastvaham vrittimashritaah vrittayo mano vidyaham manah ahamayam kuto bhavati chinvatah Aipatatyaham nija vicharanam. I would strongly recommend you go back to that lecture series, re-listen to that aham pratyaya, idam pratyaya, how he asked us to think. When we start to inquire that origin of that I, ahaminashabhajyahamahantaya spurati hrutsvayam Paramapurna Sat. Then that Sat Swarupa will come to the limelight. With that, we will see verse number 126. Yo vijanati sakalam, yo vijanati sakalam, jagrat swapna sushuptishu, jagrat swapna sushuptishu. Buddhi tad vritti sadbhavam abhavamahamithyayam. See, this verse describes the self as omniscient, that knows everything. Yo vijanati sakalam. It knows what is happening in my jagrat swapna sushuptishu. In my waking, in my dream, in my deep sleep states. Buddhi tad vritti sadbhavam abhavam ahamiti ayam. Atman is that which is aware of the presence of mind, and abhavam, the absence of mind and thoughts in deep sleep. And when I wake up, I know there was no thought. I know the absence of thoughts that gave me a good night. But someone was there illuminating even that absence of thoughts. That a good reference from Kenopanishad, Yanmanasa na manute, yenahur manomatam, tadeva brahmatvam vidhi, nedam yadidam upasate. So with this verse, what do I see? That presence of God within me, that presence of the God principle, that all knowing, omniscient principle is not somewhere in cloud nine, it is me. He brings it to us. A good Bhagavad Gita reference would be in the 10th chapter, 20th verse, Ahamatma Gudakesha Sarvabhutasya Stitaha. I am the self, O Gudakesha, seated in the hearts of all beings. Or in the 7th chapter, in the 7th verse, he says, Matta parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mayi sarvamidam protam sutre manigana iva. I am like that invisible thread that runs in and through everything in this universe. See, these are beautiful ideas of the Upanishads that are described by Bhagavan Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. So we will go to verse number 127, continuing on our theme. Yah pashyati swayam sarvam, yah pashyati swayam sarvam, yam na pashyati kaschana, yam na pashyati kaschana, yaschetayati buddhyadi, yaschetayati buddhyadi, na tadyam chetayatyayam. न तद्यं चेतयत्ययम् यः पश्यति स्वयं सर्वं यं न पश्यति कश्चन यश्चेतयति बुद्ध्यादि न तद्यं चेतयत्ययम्. See, this verse describes that self-illuminating nature of Atma, that which sees all. Yah pashyati swayam sarvam. Yet no one can see. Yam na pashyati kaschana. That which illuminates the intellect, but that which they cannot illuminate. That is that. That which illumines the buddhi. Here we should understand the example of Taptaya Pindavat. That fire and iron ball example we saw. That our buddhi, which is jada, receives the sentiency from the Atman and becomes active. That illumining means we should understand that as knowledge principle. When he says buddhi adi, means all of the indriyas. Just like the sun, it illumines and energizes the entire solar system, but sun is self-illumining. Nothing else is needed to energize the sun. like that. Now moving on to verse number 120. येन विश्वमिदं व्याप्तम् येन विश्वमिदं व्याप्तम् यं न व्याप्नोति किञ्चन यं न व्याप्नोति किञ्चन आभारूपमिदं सर्वम् आभारूपमिदं सर्वम् यं भान्तमनुबात्ययम् यं भान्तमनुबात्ययम् together येन विश्वमिदं व्याप्तं यं न व्याप्नोति किञ्चन आभारूपमिदं सर्वं यं भान्तमनुबात्ययम् येन विश्वमिदं व्याप्तं, that by which this universe is pervaded, but nothing else pervades it. That is the all-pervading nature of Atma. In Tapovan Shatkam also that we learned, we say, Vyaptam Jagatyena Chidatma Bhavat. A good Upanishadic reference will be from the Kathopanishad 3.2.15. न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न chandra tarakam. We say this during Aarti time. Nema vidyuto bhanti kuto yamagnihi. न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न chandra tarakam. Nema vidyuto bhanti kuto yamagnihi. तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वम् तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वम् तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति. That self-luminous principle that illumines everything else in its presence, that light of consciousness is that light seated in my own heart that we need to meditate upon. When we say in the Gayatri Mantra Japa, Om Bhur Bhuvassuvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yona Prachodayat. In that Gayatri Mantra, we are praying to that illumination principle to come and shine me with that pure intellect. So, like I mentioned last week, all these that we just chanted and we analyzed are all meditative pointers. They have one purpose in Vedanta, is the point the seeker to the self. Purpose is fulfilled. We will stop here. There are a few more verses that we need to study on this topic. Few more pointers will come with that. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Asato Va Sadgamaya तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ तत्सत्. May all be happy, may all be healthy, may all see auspiciousness, may none suffer. Om peace, peace, peace. With that, I will open it up for our discussion session, our interactive session. You can unmute yourself and we can have that conversation.